about my daughter Alida. She's moving from the city, or from the town, out to her boyfriend's farm. Now, her boyfriend, this farm, it's really a cabin in a beautiful 100 or 200 acres of woods. Sorry about the bouncy roads. So the lane is impassable unless you've got a four-wheel drive truck. It's not winter maintained. It's not maintained at all. And so the snow has been melting, and so the potholes are big because there is a truck that they use that goes up and down the lane, I guess. Well, anyway, there's no power at that place. They have no hydro. They have no water, except I think they have a well that you pump with your hand, an old-fashioned well. And the cell phone only works from the top of the hill. They have no regular phone. So she's gone out there to live in the woods this summer. She's going to get a job. She'll walk to the end of the lane and I'll pick her up. The lane is about a mile. It's like 1 to 2 kilometers long. But she says she walks it in 20 minutes. So that sounds more like 1 kilometer or 1 mile. Anyway, it's my little girl. So last night we were moving her stuff from her apartment to our house, and then there was some that she was going to take to the farm. And so she had a laundry basket, and she had this big this fish, and it was in a vase. There's a vase with a bubble on the bottom. The bubble was about 8 inches, 6 inches across, maybe 7 or 8. Anyway, and it had a plant in it, and you use a certain kind of a fish. It's got a 4-letter word. I think it starts with M, but I don't know. I have no idea. Anyway, so this little fish, it's a beautiful big fish, lives in the roots of this plant. And so the idea of the plant with the vase is that you buy the fish and you put him in and he swims among the roots. And so she just loves this fish. And she named him whatever the name of the plant is. Reminds me of a mangrove, with the roots in the water. Anyway, those of you that live where you have mangroves, or those hammocks in Florida, those beautiful little oases in Florida. I think those are awesome. Except for maybe the heat and the bugs. But I was never there when it was hot and buggy. So last night I took too long. I had to go fill this darn prescription. Now this prescription, these little pills, for 100 pills cost me $300. $300. I haven't filled this prescription. I've been without these pills for a couple of weeks because I just didn't want to do that. But then I had this heart banging and I just had different feelings, and so I thought maybe I better get my pills. So I got my pills. $300. Anyway, I guess there's not a generic brand for Plavix yet. So I wonder how long this has been. How long have I been talking anyway? I think I'm okay. So I stopped at this drugstore, and I usually just stop there and then, well, I mailed that package to my friend. And now I'm distracted. Should I tell you who I sent it to? I don't know. We'll wait. Okay, so I mailed the package, and then I stopped in to see if my prescription was ready. And she said, well, we're just writing out the paperwork right now. Well, I didn't realize that meant that they were just starting it, and then it had to get lined up behind the pharmacist who had to check it and make sure it had the right pills in it, and that there were no contraindications between other pills. Anyway, I thought the pharmacist filled it. I didn't realize that she was behind the desk checking them. Anyway, it takes up forever for them to do all those things. 40 minutes to fill your prescription, no matter where you go. How strange is that? Okay, so I took took up so much time. Then we took the load home, unloaded it, went back, and then I had to drop in at my other daughter's to find out about today. And she ended up feeding me. Well, you can't say no to that. So by the time I went to pick up Alida with her stuff, it was already dusk. I mean, the sun had set and the sky was dimming. And she was supposed to have already been dropped off at the end of the lane to this cabin and walked in the light, you know. Well, I had made it a mess, you know. So anyway, by the time we got there, she wanted me dropped off there first since it was so late now. So we got there and I dropped her off and she walked in. I sat at the end of the driveway lane. You can't go in there. It's impassable. So I sat at the end of it with my lights on the lane, which illuminated it until she got around the corner, which was, I don't know, a couple hundred feet or something. But on the way, I warned her about, you know, I wanted to park there and walk her in, but then she was worried about Mom walking out by herself. Now this laneway, how much time have I used up? Oh, 5 minutes. We're okay. So this laneway is all potholes, and there's no snow on it anymore. And so she can't slide the basket. She was carrying a laundry basket with her fish and her purse in it. And she couldn't just slide them along in the snow, pulling them with a string or something. So they were in front of her. She was holding them in front of her, so she wouldn't be able to even see her feet exactly where she was stepping. But in the dark, you really don't look at your feet anyway, because you look at the open area between the forest. There'll be an open area, and you'll see the silver of the sky, and you'll also see silver reflected in the puddles. So as long as you know that if you step where it's silver, you're going to get wet, you can avoid them. As long as she could see her feet, which I'm not sure she could. So now the bears have come out of hibernation this week also. You see there's no more, it's not really very cold. So they're out with their little tiny babies. Now when their babies are born in January, they're little tiny babies, like almost like mice babies, really tiny. And they nurse. I guess they have them, I thought there was some sort of a pouch, but bears don't have a pouch. How could that be? Anyway, so they nurse all winter while they're in hibernation. And then they come out. And the bears are bigger. I don't know how big. I don't know if they're bigger than a basketball by then. Probably not. Anyway, so they've got their little bears. And the mothers are, of course, very protective. And I don't know if bears are out in the dark or not. I think they might be. But I don't know. Yeah, I think so. And, so she's out in the woods. And in these deep woods, I came home afterwards and I looked it up on Google Earth. I knew what roads were close by. And so I looked up the roads. And in this whole area, it's really fuzzy on the Google Earth. So you can't zero in really closely like you can in cities. But I could see the white house dot, you know, for the roof, and there were a few other dots at distances, and so I figured this is the one. And the way back in there's no roads anywhere around, you know, the outside one way over to the next one. So it's very wild. So I'm sure there's bears in there. And so I told her, you know, you're going to go out there. The bears are coming out of hibernation, and she hadn't thought about that. It was hard enough just walking in the dark, but she's used to walking in the dark because I've taught my kids to walk in the dark. We've gone for walks in the dark. We don't ever take flashlights because it's too weird to be out with this little bit of light in the middle of the darkness. You should just be in the darkness. It's really cool to be in the darkness. Anyway, unless it's from within, and then it's no fun. Okay, so I told her about these bears, and she said, I'll just be loud. I said, we should drop by the house and get a whistle. And she says, Mom, are they going to be more scared of a whistle than if I'm yelling? I said, Alida, you screaming is not going to deter the bears. Of course, you know, the bears don't really want to come upon you. But if you're in between them and their cub, then they'll come and protect. Then you're in big doo-doo. So off she went. She said, I'm going to sing the song. Let me see if I have enough time to sing you the song. What is that time there anyway? 0032? No, is that a 9? I'll sing you the song in another one. Okay, so there I was. Fearful mother wanted to walk her down the lane, but then who would walk Mommy back the lane to the car? Of course her boyfriend might. Anyway, but then he'd have to walk alone. said she should have one of those wind-up flashlights. No, I don't want any flashlight. I don't want a light. I want to be in the dark. I understand that. Okay. So I was worried all night. Actually, I was praying, and I wasn't worried. I was just praying, and I knew that if it was really terrible, I would have felt something.